Hi, my name is Krista, and I'm the founder and CEO of Practice to Light Resources. We provide hope, inspiration, education, and resources to those with mental illnesses and their family and friends. We have Liz Hamburger with us today, and she is a licensed marriage and family therapist who enjoys working with children, adolescents, individuals, families. She has experience in working with people with emotional dysregulation, anxiety, depression, trauma, oppositional behaviors, family change, parenting concerns, social skills, and low self-esteem. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So the first question is, what are some oppositional behaviors?
Yeah, so oppositional behaviors are kind of the classic ones of like asking a kid to do something and they don't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes parents perceive the oppositional behaviors as they're doing this on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like me, they're just spiteful. But in reality, there might be something else going on. So a lot of times behind oppositional behaviors might be some anxiety.
Okay.
Like, I'm refusing to go to school because I'm scared of being bullied. Or I don't want to do my homework, not because I'm trying to be mean, but because I don't know how to do it. So a lot of times oppositional behaviors get a bad rap, but sometimes there's a story behind it.
Great. What is emotion dysregulation, and what are some examples of it?
Yeah, so emotional dysregulation is when a child isn't able to manage their emotions. So for example, let's say they get a toy taken. So emotional dysregulation means that in that moment, instead of being able to be like, oh, I'm frustrated, my toy's gone, it's when they're like, ah! And they just completely blow up because they don't know how to manage that emotion inside. So it's usually like an exaggerated response because they're not able to tolerate what's going on.
Great. So what age does it really come on?
Well, you start to see emotional dysregulation probably around like the preschool years.
Okay.
A lot of times the younger years, they just contributed to temperament. But preschool is when you start to have more issues going on. You have more kids involved, more demands put on children, and so that's when you start to see more issues, is when the demands increase. If they don't have a good tolerance of their emotions, you're going to see more responses.
Yeah. So what are some, I know I'm going off, but like, what are some ways of having like advice for parents?
Yeah. So I think one of the best things that parents can do to help their child learn to tolerate emotions is for them to share their own emotions.
Okay.
So oftentimes when parents are mad, they might yell or they might scream, but they might not say what's going on. If you use language about your emotions at home, your children are going to pick up on that.
Okay.
So if you go around and you say, I'm feeling really frustrated right now because you guys aren't getting ready, that's teaching your child that there's a word and there's a language for how you feel, and it's okay to say how you feel. Versus if you go around yelling and screaming, your children are going to pick up on that.
Yeah.
And so it's important that you're telling them how to feel those emotions and show how you deal with it. So if you're feeling frustrated and you go take a break, say, I'm feeling really mad right now, I need to cool off and go sit and breathe. That sends such a good message to kids.
Yeah. Great. So you have experience with day treatment. So like, what does day treatment look like?
Yeah, so day treatment is a really structured therapy experience. So oftentimes kids aren't able to succeed in school at the moment, or they might need more than just weekly therapy. So day treatment is an everyday program. It can range from anywhere from 3 hours to all day. If it's all day, there's usually a school component.
Okay.
And what they do is they do group therapy, individual therapy, and skills. So children get a chance to interact with their peers, and they get to learn skills including social skills, emotional tolerance skills, coping skills, and they get more intensive services because it happens every day. And treatment can last anywhere from a few months to a whole year.
Great, so you incorporate art into therapy. So how do you incorporate art into therapy? Like, what do you do?
So I love to be creative. I find that sometimes traditional talk therapy for me can just be kind of overwhelming. So I like to move and do some creative stuff.
Okay.
So for example, it can include drawing or projects. So I love to incorporate learning into projects. So for example, I might have a kid create a poster of all the things that's great about them. Or they might draw a self-portrait and talk about what's important to them and what represents them. I do a lot of family drawings, or we can do kind of just like other activities like that around creativity. And even with adults, I like to have them write in color too.
Great. Yeah, that's a good way. I know art really helps me.
Yeah.
So how do you use mindfulness and movement into your practice?
Oh my gosh. Well, I just have to move all the time. So for me, I like to start my sessions with the first breather. So 5 minutes, no more than that. We start with just slowing our breath, kind of taking some deep breaths and kind of really setting our attention for the day, because there's so much going on in the world that sometimes when we sit down at first, we're not focused. So taking those few breaths can be really helpful. And then I like to take breaks throughout the session to do breathing. And then I also like to incorporate yoga with kids. So we do really fun movements. Like I have this one where it's called like the lumberjack, which I learned from a great training with Pessy. And it was like, and it's a good way for it's a good practice to like get all that energy out. Or the volcano, which is like, and so just getting movement in there, and it just becomes a natural part of our session where kids don't even think twice about it if I'm up and moving and we're doing something.
Great. That's a great way to engage our kids, especially when they're disengaged.
Oh yeah. Yeah, because with the whole talking, especially to an adult, it just feels yucky, and they're asking you a bunch of questions. So if you can kind of be next to them and doing something, any type of movement or breathing or art, that connection builds so much quicker.
Great. So what would you suggest to a person who has low self-esteem?
Yeah, so I think if somebody has low self-esteem, there's probably been a good amount of time in their life where they've just told they're not good. They've just, something's been going on, they just haven't felt like they're achieving. Or people have been pretty mean to them. So one of the things I love to do is two things. One is to just validate them. So I find people so interesting.
Yes.
And I love talking to people. It's why I became a therapist. I just love to get to know people. And so in sessions with them, especially teens or young adults, I just listen and I actively engage and I hear what they have to say, and I think it's so cool, and I let them know that. So when you build that rapport, they feel like, someone gets me. And it starts to feel really good. And then the other thing I do is I try to work on setting really small goals to feel like achievement. So sometimes people feel like, I feel yucky, I just need to be healthy. Or I just need to make a bunch of friends. Well, what does that mean? That's super overwhelming to even start. So sometimes a small goal for me to feel like people can really achieve is like, give a friend a compliment. That's pretty little. Or get up this morning 5 minutes early and say one positive thing. They can be so small, but once you build that routine and that habit of being positive and trying something new, you start to feel really better about yourself.
Great. So why is a healthy and active lifestyle so important to a person's mental health?
Oh my gosh, this is a good one. I know me personally that if I'm running and working out, I feel better. The anxiety and that low mood can just sit. And if you're moving, you start to send these endorphins to your body that I'm feeling good. So I like to incorporate that in my work as well, is to encourage people to move, to go on a walk, to do something active. You're going to feel better, especially with depression. You just want to sit. That's like the worst thing you can do, right? So just if you're like moving and walking, you're going to start sending that message to your body that you're feeling good. And I'm not trying to get people to like run marathons, because that's ridiculous. But if you can just like walk to the store or take the stairs instead of the elevator, you're gonna start feeling better because you're moving this body and it's sending these endorphins, which makes you feel so much better.
So last question I have is, how do you work with a team to build their characters in the world with peers, school, and parents?
Yeah, I think we kind of touched on that in the self-esteem piece around helping teens feel validated. Like, what they have to say matters. Because I bet a lot of times in their life, they're told to be quiet. Or, we don't care what you have to say. Or teens are mean. They say, you're weird. You know? And so I think if you validate with children and teens saying, I think what you have to say is so interesting, and I really want to learn more, that can really build their self-esteem in terms of feeling like, hey, somebody this random person wants to listen to me.
Yeah.
And they think that I'm interesting, and that starts to build that self-esteem. And then I also like supporting kids and trying to reach their goals. So I do a lot of motivational interviewing around, okay, where are you now? And what's this ideal self you have? Like, what do you picture? What's different? Are you doing different things? Are you living somewhere else? Like, what is this ideal self you have that you want to be? And let me help you get there. So if this person that you want to be is super social, and right now you're not, okay, well, let's figure out how we can work on that. Okay. We don't need to make 10 friends in a day.
That's totally unrealistic.
Totally unrealistic, right?
Yeah.
And I think people set us up with thinking, okay, I want to be social. Well, I want to make friends. Oh, crap, it didn't happen today. Oh, I feel pretty awful. Well, there's no way you can make 10 friends in a day.
Yeah.
So you're setting yourself up to fail. So it's important that you set realistic goals, and that's something that I can be helpful with around, okay, you want to make a bunch of friends and you want to be more social. Okay, well, how about today you make eye contact with someone in class? Or today, if someone hands you a paper, say thank you. They're so small, but if you start to build those little things up, you start to feel more confident, you feel more social, and then by the time that we are done, you might be able to initiate a conversation with somebody. But you can't expect that right away. So just starting small and like building and building after each success, because you're going to feel more confident too.
Yes. Thank you so much for getting in touch with me and getting all that. So you can subscribe to my channel to find more mental health professionals like Liz here. And thanks. Have a great day.
Thank
Bye.
you.